for the Conservation Commission. I will call the meeting for July 16th open. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from June 18th.
No, I'll make the
What's going
motion.
on?
I'll second it.
Moving second, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. We have two new public hearings tonight. First on the agenda is 279 Pleasant Street. Okay. I will read that into the record while you're setting up. Under the Wetland Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40 of Mass General Law, as amended in the West Bridgewater Wetland Protection Bylaw Rules and Regulations, the West Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing the 16th of July, 2019, in the McDonald Brown Conference Room, 65 North Main Street, for a notice of intent filed by J.A. Holmgren Engineering on behalf of John Bryan, who wishes to remove vegetation in an existing retention and delineation basin at 279 Pleasant Street. Portion of the site is within NHESP, estimated habitat for rare species, and we are open. And you have some green cards, or
Yes.
I will take those. Perfect. And anybody want to set up plans, or are we good with the, alrighty?
Maybe you could send them over our way, because we got an issue with the
There you go.
password on this one.
All right.
Alright, so just to introduce myself, my name is Josh White. I'm from J.K. Holmgren Engineering. And we submitted this notice of intent on behalf of Boston Granite. This whole project came about as they're looking to sell the property, and the prospective buyer is having somebody look into the capacity of the basins. These were constructed back in the 80s, late 80s. And they were never maintained. So that's where it is today. They're looking to perform maintenance in this existing retention basin and detention basin. There's wetlands all around each of those basins, as well as to the east of the existing building. The applicant is willing to do whatever they have to do to comply with any special conditions the commission wishes to issue. I've talked to John Delano about this earlier while I was out on the site. He had some specific questions just regarding the area of when this existing trench drain, it's never been maintained. It's full of silt and sediment. So that's going to be cleaned out as well. There's an existing leaching drain manhole that is fed by the trench drain, as well as an existing catch basin. That's also going to be maintained. He noted that that inverts were not provided. There wasn't access to that manhole at the time, so that can be included with any special conditions as well. All of the inflows and outflows, as far as flared end sections, they appear to be in good working condition. But again, the basin just needs to be maintained and cleared out of all the vegetation just to improve the performance of the basins. As far as how we look to do this maintenance, although they're not shown on this plan, erosion control barriers will be placed basically on the edge of pavement along this one, as well as in between the wetland D series and the retention basin, just to keep as much of the sediment out of that wetland as possible. And the same will be done for the detention basin. Again, the silt, we're going to propose using the silt sock erosion control along the B and C series as well. Yeah, that's really it. We realize the site's been kind of not taken care of for a long time, so we're just trying to make the best of it and do the best we can to bring it up to standards today.
How about going forward? When does that come into play about continued maintenance of the property?
Well,
After the sale, or?
what we are now doing is, under the stormwater regs, is requiring, as part of the order conditions, that the owner of the property will sign a maintenance agreement, drainage maintenance agreement, and it gets recorded at the registry.
Okay.
And it also provides that if the owner doesn't maintain it properly, the town has to step in, the town is reimbursed.
Great.
So it does provide quite a bit of incentive for the owner to maintain, where with none of that in the past. They just go in and operate day to day and forget
Yeah.
about the maintenance part of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So a couple of areas that Josh has mentioned are these leaching basins that were put in under the pavement. And were they planning to repave this parking lot?
I'm not sure if they were or not.
Probably not. So I don't mind people recommending or suggesting that they're going to clean out the stone around these things. But even if they clean it out, the site has such a high water table that's probably why they failed. That's probably why they don't have any capacity. It was approved so many years ago that I don't even believe that someone was out there doing test pits to determine where the water tables were at that time. And so the real way to do that nowadays is, of course, before you design it, is to meet out there with me and the engineer and determine where the water table is. And I'm very conservative about where that water table is. I sometimes get accused of interpreting it as too high, you know. The problem with not being conservative where you determine this is that if you get too lackadaisical, the bottom of the basin all of a sudden is always wet because they got it into the water table. So what I'm thinking of recommending is that this is an existing site. It's been failing all these years. I mentioned in my meeting report that I was driving by during one of the recent rainstorms, heavy rainstorms, and the water was just gushing out into South Elm Street and impacting the town's drain system. So rather than having them spend the money digging up, putting in some new stone, having it in the water table, which means it's really not going to do much better than what it is today. And there are areas where they should clean them out, but I think I'd much rather see areas built into the pavement that would discharge right into the detention basin. And then another area where it discharges directly into the retention basin. And so I can work with Josh on some of those ideas and hopefully, excuse me, by the next meeting, be able to come up with a solution to this.
Makes sense.
Anybody have any other questions, comments? I mean, it definitely needs maintenance stuff.
Well, this is just the first shot, right?
Yeah.
All right. Think you can get it done for our first August meeting?
August,
Be
I think the first one is the 6th.
6th.
is that enough time, you think?
August 6th?
How soon before the meeting do you need
A week.
A week before. Okay.
So you have about 10 days.
Okay. I think we can do that.
Okay.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to continue to August 6th.
Make the motion.
Second.
Moving and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Like John said, hopefully you don't have to dig up any pavement.
Yeah, we'll see.
That'll make it a little easier.
We'll see what we can do. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
If it would do some good, then it's worth the effort, but I think you're setting it up to fail.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Are you hanging around for 265? Okay. So dry.
Also, but it'll drop them down. All right. Next on the agenda, we have 143 Scotland Street. And I will read that into the record. Under the Wetland Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40, and actually, this one's just the wetland, under the West Bridgewater Wetland Protection Bylaw Rules and Regulations and the Stormwater Management Regulations, the Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on the 16th of July in the Brown McDonald Conference Room, 65 North Main Street, for a notice of intent filed by AAD in order to regrade a portion of the rear of a yard to cut brush and small trees within 100 feet of a wetland at 143 Scotland Street. We're open. You have green cards?
Yes, I do.
All right, I'll take those.
You? I don't have the big board.
That's okay.
You've got the,
We've got
But that's-
we've got what you've got.
There you go. So this is the property here. I got a small backyard. All what I wanted. There's a bunch of bushes in the back and small trees. I just wanted to move those and level it to the backyard. So just extension for the backyard.
Lawn area now. Before that, I mean, what
So-
is the?
So our neighbor been working on that issue, and we have his engineering is measuring the 50 feet level, and that's where we gotta stop the buffer zone, whatever.
what's between the 100 and the 50 now? Just shrubs and trees?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
You just want to expand your backyard?
that's it. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
John, what do you?
Well, I'm calling up Google Earth right now to take a look at what the conditions are there now. And it seems as if the wetland line is kind of where the fence line is on the highway. And so if they use that line as the wetland line and measure back 50 feet and don't do any further work, I don't think there's going to be any impact, especially if we require the erosion control barrier to be installed prior to them working that site. I think he's got plenty of room.
So the 50's been flagged already?
No, I believe that it's according to...
The plan we're looking at would be 2006.
6, okay.
So you think the wetland line realistically is where the fence would be for the Route 24
That's where the 50-foot.
access, which would be the back of the property? So it'd be 50 feet in from that,
Yeah.
would be where the,
So even though the plan shows it a little differently, I believe that that's from a real old plan done.
Yep.
What is it, 2006?
6.
yeah.
And based on what we saw out there with the next door neighbor, I think that if we use the fence line, we'll probably be in good shape, and that'll
Mhm.
still give him, that'll give him some space for his backyard. And I would be doing inspections out there, so if I saw anything that was a little different, that would be either to his benefit, or if he needed to make an adjustment, then we would do it.
What kind of fence is that?
It's a stock fence.
That's the one that, next door, the wetland line we said is right in here.
Mhm.
So the 50-foot, I mean, it's right through the back. So that would put that right
So the
about there.
wetlands are
So we'd
beyond.
have a little bit more to clean up
So
to the
we
back.
need
Sure.
to put marker seed for them.
We don't necessarily require that it be
Okay.
flagged, though.
You know, not no. You're just looking to clean up the brush that's there. You're not looking to fill anything or alter.
Well, I'm hoping to, because it's the.
Because there's a pretty good slope, isn't there?
It is. It
off
is
the
the slope.
backyard?
So that's why I'm trying to. I will try to level some of it. Yes. Because the septic system is in the back and
Right.
Because of that. It was raised because of the house is.
Because it was so wet.
right. That's yeah.
So you can't fill it in. That's what the guy next door did.
And your elevation is even higher of a slope.
It is
In
a
the
higher of a slope
backyard.
than next door. Yes, absolutely.
I'm just afraid all of a sudden you're going to fill 50 more feet back, and where's all that water going to
It'll
go?
be the same thing as next door.
I mean,
Would
John,
the
do you have any-
commission allow him to put, and he'd have to work with his neighbor, but some boulders along the 50-foot buffer line, which would be acting like a retaining wall, and he could kind of fill up against the boulders and take a little bit of the steepness out of the back and not impact the 50-foot buffer. If
Or
it-
a fence. Sticking a fence out back.
I mean, how far from the cleared area back is that?
I mean,
I mean,
fences.
what's the purpose for you wanting to fill it in? So kids or anything like that
because
don't
it
fall
is
down?
it is a slope. It's a huge. It's like a 6 feet deep.
Do you have kids?
I do. Yeah.
Is it for that?
Yeah.
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 So what about a fence?
A fence would be an ideal thing, but I can't handle or afford anything right now, so I can't make a promise that I will do a fence. I will if I have the money to do it whenever I feel,
But if you're gonna bring in fill,
Well, the filling is promised for free from the next door neighbor because he's working on that slope between
of course
us.
it is.
So
I guess the issue is how much fill,
I wouldn't touch the fence.
and whether now when it rains, it's gonna run off into the neighbors or something
It's
instead
gonna
of,
affect the next, it's gonna affect the next house. Next door.
it could, right, depending how much.
It's just gonna be a domino effect.
The plan he submitted, John, is that the final as-built, or was that just it looks like it's just the septic layout for the Board of Health?
It's the septic as-built, and
Yeah, so it doesn't really show, and that's a pretty big slope in the back, if I remember right. from-
and septic system was mounted, so
Right,
it drops beyond the septic system right down to the existing grade that was next door, which was, as Lee pointed out a number of times, wet anyway to start with. I think there's a way that he can accomplish what he's looking for, just that he doesn't have an engineered plan for this. So if the commission wants to require that, of course, it's your prerogative to do it. Or I could try to work with the applicant and see if I can come up with something, and before he does anything, make sure the commission's okay with it. It's just that you're in a hurry, aren't you?
just because he's working on the filling on his, next door, so
You want some free fill.
it's plenty of fill that costs a lot of money if I get to buy it. Yes.
Is the swale working, everything and move and?
I didn't inspect it
Yeah.
before this meeting because I was just back from vacation,
Right.
but are they working on that swale?
They are.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's,
They put the deepest part of it is all filled. They still didn't level it as engineering wise, but he been working on the filling in between the two houses. So it's I would say 80% or 90% done.
Which way does the swale run? Does it run to the back?
Yep, runs to the back and then runs to the front. So I could, if you want to continue the hearing to the next meeting, I could work with them and come up
Yeah,
with some solutions.
I'd be willing to do that,
Yeah.
at least, because it doesn't look as though engineered plans, they're expensive, so you don't want to do that too. I would prefer not to do it, so.
Do you have any water problems?
No,
No, you just want to fill it.
Like a bigger
I just
backyard.
wanted to extend the backyard, yes. And I just don't want the backyard to be two levels, like one higher up and the other one is like 6 feet deeper.
But you
than
gotta
this.
understand though, they did that house lot like that for a reason.
Because
be able
the
to put the
septic
house
system is
there.
in the back.
No, to be able to put the house because it's so wet.
Because it's such a high water table that,
They had to put everything up.
Hopefully your
It's that way
cellar's
for a
dry.
reason.
It is dry, yes.
Do you have a
Never
sump
had
pump?
water in there, yeah.
Do you have a sump pump in there?
No.
yeah,
So they got it right.
yeah, theirs is one of the highest up out of that
So
whole.
why alter?
I mean, I could,
I'm just thinking,
I'd
I mean,
like to see what John comes up with.
Yeah.
First, I mean, I don't mind, I'm just afraid that looking at the dimensions on the plan that was submitted, if you go 50 feet in from the end, where the 100-foot wetland line is, that's only gonna put it 25 feet back from the corner, which is only gonna, see, I can't tell from the satellite imagery
Right,
whether this corner of that 75 is the tree line or whether the tree line's up here.
right.
I think the tree line's in this area here.
Mm.
So if you
That's
take
pretty
25
straight,
feet plus 20, he'd be gaining 50 feet that I don't know whether I'd want to fill right up to that 50 feet. If you go where he is now and gradually,
I can't fill up to the 50 feet. It will be a slope, but instead of going like from 6 feet to this,
right, it'd be
I
more of a
just want to
gradual.
gradually down. That's all what it gonna be.
Because it is a pretty steep slope right now. I
And
mean,
could you
it's-
swale it so it,
so if you were to put a fence there for where it
is the swale going to be
starts to
along
go
this
down,
side? So you could just,
that's
the whole
street.
purpose
and
is
this-
basically
it's-
for the
it's
kids,
a
right?
street
Right.
of paper.
You don't want the kids going
It's
down the
not
hill.
really there.
Right.
It's the old Maple
That's
Street.
the whole
Right.
reason. You don't, not because you don't
You're
have any
running
water.
straight
This, this is what it is.
It's just
here.
the whole reason
Yeah.
is
It's
you want a
basically
bigger
all one.
backyard
Okay.
and the
it
kids
would-
don't fall down the hill.
It's a
That's
dead-end
it.
street that goes
So
right
if
into
you
the
put a
highway.
fence,
So
Yeah.
the
You can
town's
only go
never
so
gonna do
far.
anything
No,
with it.
no.
and then
So
you won't
if it
alter
gets
it,
wet
what
there,
the,
then-
Here.
Yeah.
the house lot is supposed to
Put a
be.
fence where? As it is now?
Right where it is the steepest part starts.
You see, this
Put a
is where
fence
the
right
septic
there,
system
Yes.
ends.
just so the
And I
kids
think
don't go
it's
down
right
there.
Yeah, but
and
if
you
I
know,
have that
darker.
land to
Yeah.
use
I
and
think
extend the
that's slope.
backyard,
So
I agree
it
with
goes
that.
I'm
right
just,
down
that's
there.
what.
But you're
So I
altering
think he might be able
what is not
to go
supposed to be
back
altered.
another 25 feet.
What is not supposed to? I just
You're not
didn't.
supposed to be filling in right there because they did it, they did the house lot for that reason. They lifted it up and made it that way because it's so wet. You don't have any water in your basement, you're lucky.
Oh, thank
I
God.
wouldn't alter it.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm in favor of having John take a look at it and see what he comes back with.
Are you looking at Google?
Yeah,
It seems that I'm picking up a shadow where it seems like
right.
that slope breaks down.
that's the
Steeply?
steeply. And it
Is
goes
that
from
the
there to
septic?
there.
Yep.
Dark,
And the end of the septic, I think, is right here.
so the tree line
So
is forward. a
if the
little bit.
50 foot is right in here. So I mean, if you went back to there and cleared the debris, which most of the brush and stuff that's there now is it's briar and buckthorn and invasive stuff that it would be good to clean it up. And it,
Yeah, it's that way for a reason.
because you get a soccer ball back there, you're never getting it back. Nobody's going in there to get
Yeah,
it.
but what happens if you fill in and slopes down and goes in there anyways?
Right, well, that's
So what's the difference?
why I'm looking if you were to a gradual slope versus the steep slope at least.
Put a fence.
But it's pretty steep. I mean, I'd entertain a motion to continue to the next hearing and see what John can come up with.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moving side, all's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we'll see what we can come up with.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Okay, what do we have next in the agenda that we can skip to get people, what are you here for?
65 Maple.
65. Request for certificate of compliance?
Yes.
All right. 65 Maple Street, request for certificate. What do we got, John?
Well, since he's here, he could give you a
Number
quick.
4?
uh,
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Would you rather me stand or sit? Does it matter?
Doesn't matter.
I'll
Whatever.
sit.
You sit out. It's a
I'll sit
hot
on- I'll
night.
sit on
We're
the
good.
David Nader with TEC, representing Clear Channel Outdoors regarding the billboard out at 65 Maple. As of the week of May 20th, anyways, the site was complete. The vegetation was planted and it was seeded. And then May 30th, Dana Perkins did a survey, the as-built survey. I was out there throughout the project personally as the erosion control specialist, just making sure that the silt fence was up, there was no breaching or tears throughout that, protecting the wetlands. The results of the survey by Dana Perkins showed that, in our opinion, the work completed is significantly in compliance with the order of conditions. Just going through the list, the billboard foundation, as built, was moved approximately 3.5 feet north and 7.5 feet west from the proposed location, which is actually further into the site and further away from the wetlands. There was approximately 78 square feet additionally for the planting enhancement area, and then shown on the original order of condition plans. A couple of other minor differences between them, like the access road was shifted north about 4 to 8 feet, but that doesn't affect its proximity to the wetlands, which is more to the east. And then utility poles were installed, but once again, not within the wetlands, just within the site. Are there any questions?
John, everything's,
I just have to say that he has stayed right on top of that, got all the reports in, unlike a lot of other people who are not getting him in on time. And so even when there was a rainstorm that was above the limit that we set, he was right on it. So I've got to compliment you on good job. And I have no issue with it and recommend issuing a certificate of compliance without a bond.
anybody other questions?
No.
All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance without a bond.
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
Moving second, all those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Well moved. Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys. Have a
Good
evening.
job.
Thank you.
Would you like to sign it now?
Might as well.
And Josh is here to ask for a minor project change on 265 East Center Street, which is what was the car wash that's now going to be a contractor's
Storage, okay.
facility. And so do you want to go over the change that the zoning board required? Because they have I noticed they have a revised plan that's not the date that we used in ours, so it got revised after we had approved it.
Okay.
So if he could just explain that, and also the
So this
other-
is more of a zoning board change, so he's back before us because of the zoning board.
Just because it's got a new date, that's it. Alright. So, basically the building is in the exact same location as it was before. The wetlands and the revegetation areas are all the same. The only changes that were made were obviously the use is now proposed contractors' bays as it was a car wash before. Based on the use, the zoning board asked for some additional screening on the sides of the property and the front of the property as well. So we're showing a stockade fence along the property lines on the side. This on the western side, it's going to be right at the 50-foot buffer. And then towards the front of the property, they'd asked for just landscape screening, so we're adding a couple of trees. They asked for a 4-foot minimum for a tree along the front. So we're showing 4 of those, 2 on each side of the entrance, and 3 more further down the street. They also asked for some additional snow storage on the site. So we labeled that this little grass area here, as well as some in the back. And we've worked with Victor Guerrero, the applicant. Any additional storage will be moved off-site, and he'll take care of that. Make sure it doesn't get set on town property or anything like that.
Okay.
We worked with the fire chief to make sure we showed the proper truck turn around the site, and he was good with that. We revised the location of the dumpster, or we might even added one. I'm not sure if we had one before or not, but we've got that. Site lighting, just we added some light poles here, and one in the back. And there's a couple, I think there's one on each side of the building. Just standard building lights.
On the building itself?
Yes, and they're all downward facing, dark sky compliant, all of that. And that's really the extent of the changes that were made. Any questions on it?
So that doesn't really have any impact on our original, but in going through the requirements of the order special conditions that we had set, I noticed that they need to plant the buffer zone area that had been disturbed prior to them constructing. Well, this is a bad time of year to start, so I'm going to defer to Tim to tell us when they should have it.
How soon are they gonna start? I mean,
How soon can you let them?
okay, that was my guess.
If they
He
can
wanted
do it
to break
tomorrow, they
ground
do
as soon.
tomorrow.
He wanted to start before I went on vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not John, but his client.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, beginning of September, I mean, so you're talking 4 to 6 week delay in planting. I mean,
It's not much.
yeah, I mean, I don't, for the sake of better plants, once it starts getting cooler, I mean, most people like to see the lawn in August, so.
Yeah, right.
I mean, waiting till the beginning of September would be fine.
Okay.
I don't see a problem with that.
No.
Anybody other comments?
No.
Not, we would need a motion to consider this a minor project
Minor
change.
project change.
I'll entertain a motion to accept this as a minor project change.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moved and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
All right.
Alrighty,
Thank you.
now you can break ground and get
I
started.
would've liked the car wash, but
Yeah.
Mark Camo's here for Lot 4 South Street. He wants to talk about possibly changing the position of the house.
Alright. Evening, what do we got?
Hello, my name's Mark Camo, and I'm going to be building a house at 95 Stroud Street, or Lot 4. And the way Outback Engineering had the house located on that plan, they had turned it perpendicular to the street. And the reason why I thought it'd be more private for whoever bought the house, because there is going to be another house built right out on the road. So my client wanted to turn the house so that they can get the benefit of the privacy of the backyard. So I was trying to coordinate this with, but Outback was on vacation, and all through July it's very difficult to get to this point. But I was able to get the plan, what I'm proposing to do,
there it is. We have it here, too.
don't know if I should.
Couldn't find it either, that's why I said it was
Just
gonna be
kinda-
easy. but-
Should I put that up there?
Well, it'd probably be better if just you hold it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Oh,
can,
okay.
so you're looking to spin it to face,
So it's facing parallel to the South Street instead of perpendicular.
instead of going this way, it's gonna. So what does that end up actually requiring? John said you said some filling involved? And then
John was concerned that it might affect grading or whatnot, so that's what Outback did with their, they ran their calculations and slid it back a little bit.
It's quite a ways out back.
Yeah.
Because the silt fence is already in,
Yes.
correct? Yep. Okay.
So did the,
Doesn't affect the one, well, what's,
Did-
Well,
that's a hundred.
it all depends if there's any grading changes
Yeah, yeah,
in the back where it would, because they had to do the replication to get the driveway in.
yes.
something's wrong with my plan here. Did everybody's plan come out kind of
Yeah, it,
truncated?
yeah.
I don't understand why.
Oh, this is the lot with the little dark house parked, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
So I asked him to have it engineered so that we could see if the grading would still work without encroaching into the 50-foot, and it appears that they've been able to accomplish that.
Okay.
Because it basically, the way he was describing it, you couldn't picture how it was going to affect the grading, so he did exactly what I asked him to do, which is go back to the engineer and
Yeah, and that's what we're interested in, is if there's any effects, and apparently not, so.
And there'll be another one over here. So, right, they just want to turn it this way, so that they've got backyard and side yard.
Only 2 houses going in that?
I believe there's
2 more.
there's 2 more out on the front,
About 4 total?
I believe 3, unless that other house is getting torn down. I know there's a house.
I don't know.
so it's an existing
I know the broker's
house.
calling me, trying to get me to buy the 2 lots out front, so I thought there were only 2 more.
I think there is.
Yeah.
I don't think they can tear that other house down, can they?
I don't know.
Historical site.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Yeah, I know when they subdivided it, it was subdivided to 4 lots.
They did, yeah, they
Total.
wanted 4 and then.
There was 3 new lots and then the existing.
Existing house.
So there were 4 lots total when they
So I
came in
think
with the,
this has now been rechanged to Lot 1. So it goes 1, 2, 3,
3.
and 4.
And then 4 the existing.
4 is the existing. So I think there's only 2 other house lots that could
Could be put into
built,
the,
and we approved Lot 2. So that's pending somebody to get building, which that's maybe why they're talking to you, but,
Yeah.
so the third one is outside the jurisdiction, so we'll probably never see that unless it triggers a stormwater, and then we'd have a stormwater permit for it. But
It doesn't affect any of the.
yeah, I mean,
anything like that?
if the grading doesn't encroach into the 50 foot, then
There's really nothing.
nothing we can do, nothing
So-
to do until an as-built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll consider it a minor project change and
On the plan.
call this the record plan then?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll entertain a motion to accept a minor project change.
make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty.
Make sure I get a copy of that,
Yeah.
unless they're gonna be still making changes, or
No, this
that's
is
it? Okay.
I'll have Jason, I'll be on push with the package.
Yep, send them electronically and I'll
Sure.
get them.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay.
Very neat.
Getting back to John's report in the agenda, item 3 249, 251 Pleasant Street, LH Realty request to withdraw an ANRAD and ORAD issuance.
This was a requirement of the final judgment in the court case, both from DEP and the Attorney General for LH Realty, and they wanted to have the applicant withdraw the order of resource area delineation that we issued, and also under the bylaw, since it's both in West Bridgewater, we have it both ways. So it's going to be a lot better situation for the site, so I'm recommending to allow him to withdraw it with prejudice, which means that he can't come back and say he wants to use that line again.
Okay. So I'll make that motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Item 5, we have rail trail pole request for a certificate of compliance.
Yes, this is the new pole that they had to put in on the electric easement just off the edge of the rail trail. It's all the proper documents have been submitted, and I recommend that you issue the certificate without a bond.
I'll
And
make
that,
the motion.
and that's electric?
Yeah.
I have a motion, a second? Second.
Solar.
I don't know.
That's the one that we still need the filing fee on.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
That's the one that you
So
need to
moved.
pay attention.
Yeah.
That's the one we still need the filing fee on.
Yeah, so we're gonna hold this
We'll
because,
hold it.
and actually the same with 65. I told him he has to get us a check as well. So we're gonna have you sign it, but we'll hold it until we get the fee.
the fees are.
Did you get the motions, Kitty?
No, I was gonna cry.
Steve?
Steve made the motion and
Ryan?
Ryan seconded. Brooks Place. I'm going up from the bottom on our agenda, but
Okay.
What you're doing is hopping around.
an extension for a permit.
Oh, yes. This is for the invasive species control that they originally did, which blends in with the 50-foot buffer management plan that we've required for the subdivision. So to keep the whole thing smooth, we're going to need to extend that permit. So Kitty has the form, and it needs to be signed, so I'm recommending that you sign it.
Okay.
And what did we give them, 3
I was just gonna say,
years?
what length are they looking for an extension for?
I don't know if I brought that part down, but
I think it was
it
3
would be
years.
whatever
Okay.
you decide.
And I will entertain a motion for an extension on Brooks Place.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Say all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. .373 Crescent Street, order of conditions?
Yes, we-
Signatures?
We closed that at the last hearing, but we didn't have a signature page for it.
Do I have one that you just signed? Oh,
Signatures on that one. That's that one. All right, and I think,
we have annual dues.
Mac.
right, MAC dues. You signed the invoice for?
The rail trail, we signed that.
While you're signing that, we were successful at getting a, not that we endorse Ocean State, but we bought the Ocean State on sale air conditioner, and Kitty and I have been enjoying the comfort of the pool.
Which I think you're gonna enjoy the rest of the week.
You couldn't work up there.
Oh, no.
No, it was,
We did it, we tried it last year, it just didn't work.
We're flapping our arms all the time, like a cormorant.
Yeah, you can't.
even just coming in a couple times when you were on vacation for
Yeah,
stuff, it
right.
was rather sticky
Yeah.
and stifling.
You open the door in the morning because the building is probably not as insulated as well as a modern building, and you get hit with a blast, and it's, yet when we left the night before, it's cool. So it's nice to
It is.
have that, so thank you.
Anybody have anything else?
If you want to stay for a couple hours, I'll show you my pictures.
That's
No,
all-
I
that's
am
all
tired. I want to go home. I want to go home and go to bed.
When'd you get back?
Actually Sunday, and Monday, I was here Monday, but it was like slow
Yeah.
motion.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're done.
I would say by tomorrow.